Yo, this is the Scarcity Studios YouTube channel. Please don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. And our sponsors are Alpha Claims and Hire Birmingham, the leading and best accident management company. Get a replacement car anywhere in 1 hour. I really appreciate you joining me today, and we've got a lot of news to catch up on. And this is an update on the latest cannabis seizures across the UK during lockdown. Before we start speaking about them latest stories, I thought this story was really interesting, coming from Nottingham. A police constable who was a drug expert for 10 years has been dismissed because of gross misconduct after he was found selling cannabis growing equipment on eBay. When he was arrested, he told the police that he was legitimately purchasing it from car boot sales. A disciplinary hearing that was headed by the Chief Constable Craig Guildford said that PC Clarke would have been dismissed if he hadn't have resigned in November as the investigation begun. He's now been placed on a list barring him from any employments within the police force in the future. And the Chief Constable said that Mr Clarke's conduct was thoroughly discreditable and undermines all the hard work that police do to combat the growth of cannabis. The investigation begun in October after a routine vetting check revealed that PC Clarke, a drug expert in the past 10 years, had been selling hydroponic items that had been used for cultivating cannabis on his personal eBay account. They said he had sold more than 140 items and made £10,800 between January 2019 and September of 2020. He was arrested in November and told investigators it was legitimate, and there is of course multiple reasons for the equipment that is used for the growth of cannabis. The disciplinary hearing took place on January the 5th, and the panel said that he was a drug expert and his behaviour would have been an embarrassment to the force and would definitely have resulted in him being sacked. The Director of Major Operations, Steve Noonan, said, "For a police officer to sell quantities of hydroponic equipment knowing the potential use was inappropriate and a breach of professional standards, and even more so that Stuart Clarke's case, and given his specialist knowledge and the role that he carried out in the drugs unit." They say these activities undermine public confidence in the police, and he's paid a heavy price for that. The panel's decision to find his behaviour unacceptable and will not be tolerated. Mr Clarke was a police officer for nearly 19 years and most of his career was spent at Nottingham. His last role was a forced drug expert in a cannabis dismantling team position for 7 years. So this man had access to all of the equipment they'd confiscate from cannabis grows, and he was also selling them. So they found his eBay account, but that doesn't mean that that was the only way that he was selling them. He could have been selling them on directly to other people. So it's a really interesting story because of the fact of it isn't illegal to own hydroponic growing equipment. It isn't even illegal to own a store. He could have gone and owned a store and sold the equipment legally without any sort of crime being committed. And of course, with him having access to it, who knows what else he may have been doing throughout his whole career. 20 years is a long time, and 7 years in the cannabis dismantling force definitely would have contributed to some of the money that he could have made. So I really want to hear people's opinions on that story. And in a roundup of some other seizures over the past few days, police arrested a man in Surrey after discovering a cannabis farm factory containing 500 plants. Officers from the West Sussex Tactical Enforcement Unit made a discovery at a premises in East Grinstead on January the 3rd. The team were on patrol, they said, and they saw a van drive into an open unit and spotted what appeared to be a cannabis factory inside the industrial premises. They carried out a search and found 564 plants inside. A 26-year-old man from Hawley was arrested on suspicion of being involved in the production of cannabis, and Sussex police said that officers became suspicious of another unit next to it where cannabis could also be smelled. Another vehicle entered the site and a 31-year-old man and 22-year-old woman from East Grinstead also were arrested on suspicion of production of cannabis in that one, and they found 252 plants in that unit. So this is like units next to each other consistently. This is ridiculous. All people involved have actually been bailed for further inquiries until February. And on January the 6th, police officers discovered 1,700 cannabis plants being grown in a disused building in Colchester. Officers attended the building at 9 a.m. on Monday after reports of suspicious activity. 3 men have been charged following the discovery of the cannabis on Spring Lane. Erdil Osman from Clapton Common, Larry Strange from Shepherd's Bush, and Ali Asa from Clapton have been charged with the production of cannabis. And in this next story, in an East Yorkshire town, they described it as a sleepy town, and drug dealers turned an empty branch of HSBC into a cannabis factory. CCTV caught the drug dealers leaving the former HSBC bank on Monday night before a significant fine behind the walls of the bank. A cannabis grow spreading across 3 floors and rooms of the former bank was uncovered with a street value of £500,000. In all, homicide police found 1,000 plants in a sophisticated setup that had been stealing electricity and putting neighbours' properties at risk. The footage captured on nearby cameras showed the duo walking away from the branch towards a parked car as they unlocked the doors and got inside. 5 police cars then blocked them in and arrested them. PC James Stoffard, the manager for the case, said taking down organised criminals involved in the production of drugs is incredibly important to our force. An update issued on Tuesday said 2 men were arrested by the Rhodes crime team at 6 p.m. yesterday. Approximately 1,000 plants were discovered in 10 rooms. The sophisticated setup was dangerously extracting electricity that was common with cannabis factories. So that's just a brief update of some of the seizures that have been going on in the past few days, and the interesting story about a police officer that worked in the division of cannabis seizures was actually profiting from it. So I really want to hear what people have to say on these stories. Don't forget to check out our previous coverage in the latest news coming from the street. I really appreciate you joining me today. Please don't forget to follow us online at Scarcity Studios. I'll be back again very shortly with some more news. Peace.